Hi guys, welcome back to the second RJ video. So today we'll be answering the question, what do I know about TGFU? Okay, so firstly looking at TGFU, it's actually a method of coaching. So with this method, we allow the players to use their cognitive abilities to play out the game. So looking at the structure of how TGFU is used, you can see that it's actually a way that we coach the athletes through by firstly letting them play the game of the sport. For example, if I were to be the floorball coach in future, and my goal for the training lesson would be that I want them to be able to keep possession of the ball before scoring a goal. So I will make a game. For this example, I'll be having a 3v3 scenario. So where one side be constantly attacking before I allow them to switch over to the other side of defending. So for this game, it will be some special rules will actually be that they'll be playing on a smaller court, there will be a smaller goalpost, and there's a special rule in which they have to make a minimum of 5 passes firstly before they are allowed to try to shoot into the goal. So since it's a 3v3, the duration of the game will be bit longer than normally. So instead of having, cause normally in floorball we play like 5v5, and then every 2 minutes you're probably being subbed out so they can conserve your energy. But since it's a 3v3 and it's a smaller court, we'll just let them play for 5 minutes first before we let them have a small break and then continuing on. Okay, so let's say after the 5 minutes of letting them play with these special rules, we are done for their first game, and then now we come to our second part, which is the Q&A session. So during this Q&A session is when I get to talk to my players, learn more about how they felt about the game, and talk about how the game actually played through. So maybe they were trying to do something but it didn't work out, or like what were some mistakes or some problems that they faced while playing this game. This part will also be when I am prompting some questions so that I could try to get them to say the words like we are trying to gain possession throughout. So when they say those few words, that will be that I understand that they also understand that the goal is actually to keep possession first. So now that I know that they understand why we are doing this, we maybe give some tips, give some guiding questions so that they know what to do during our second game, which is the third part. Okay, so during this second game, we'll probably see that they are doing more passes, because in this second game I want to make it just a bit harder, so I'll change it, the minimum passes from 5 passes to 8 passes minimum. And also during this second game, I will be constantly watching them and be calling freeze. So when I say freeze, this will be when everyone stops at their current position, and I will want to do a soft replay. So basically I'll just get them to move back to where they were before, and then point out any things that I'm looking at that they were doing wrong. So from there they can learn, and then they can improve on themselves. So I'll be calling those freeze plays whenever needed, unless it's not needed and I can see that they understood the objective and they are performing well. So after the second 5-minute game, we'll go on to the fourth part, and which is also kind of the final part, in which it will be our conclusion. So for this conclusion, we just kind of have a recap of what we went through, and also like some other pointers that I saw during the game, so that we can talk about it and reflect upon during this conclusion period. So as a coach, I also want to use out the box method, so I want to be using technology to help me. So I'll probably have a camera set up by the side so that I can record their first and second games. So from there we'll be doing comparisons between the first and the second game, allowing for us to see the difference in their play styles. So from there, because since we had a Q&A session in between the first and second game, there'll be difference between their thinking and their mentality. Cause in the first game they're just freely playing. Cause I just let them play without doing much guiding. Whereas in the second game I was more not to say aggressive, but more into the how they were playing the game. So like since I was calling freeze, and I also had explained to them some guiding tips in questions during the Q&A session, so that allowed for them to expand their horizon and to think out of more ways so that they can keep possession, as well as holding onto the minimum passes, in which the first game was 5 and the second game was 8. Okay, so since the video will be able to do replays, we can use that to our advantage. So finally, with this new way of coaching, it allows me to become a better coach, as I am not limited to having to have my players do constantly going through drills every single lesson. So this will be able to make it more engaging for my players, and that will be a change of pace. So this change of pace will actually allow my players to have some freedom to be able to play freely during the game, as it's kind of like a game-like scenario, even though this game may be called an exaggeration due to some of the special rules, such as like the smaller court, the smaller goalposts, and the minimum passes that I make them do. They are implemented in order so that I can hit my training goals for the lesson, which would be the to keep possession of the ball. Yeah, so based on that, this is what I know about TGFU, and thank you for listening to my second RJ video. Thank you.